Ellis B. Feaster's Radio Aircheck and Classic TV channel.
This is the Mutual Broadcasting System, WOR, the Bamberger Broadcasting Service, Newark, New Jersey. This program comes to you each weekday morning through the courtesy of the Illinois Meat Company. And here again is John B. Gambling.
Good morning, another new day is dawning. A happy, cheery, bright good morning will last you all the day through. Good morning. Get out of bed, stop your yawning. Just pull your shades up, raise your awning, and start the day with a song. And that's just how we want to start the day. But today, of course, is Tuesday morning. Tuesday morning, gentlemen.
Yes.
And Tuesday morning, I say gentlemen advisedly, because Tuesday morning means Husband's Morning, and another session of our Husbands Protective Association. Of course, like the dear little battle axes, the husband have found little to growl about for the past week. You know, it's great how the old boy comes into his own right before Christmas. Everyone just seems to shower him with attention. The children stop calling him the old man. The in-laws leave a seat for him at the table. The old pipe and slippers are brought out of hiding, and even the battle axe herself manages to smile as she clips out the ads in the paper and stuffs them in his overcoat pocket. Yes, sir, he's sitting right on top of the world, but not high enough to get away from the bills that will greet him on Christmas morning. Everyone else tries to trim the tree, but the old boy really gets the trimming in the end, and how. Now, Mr. Byrne, there was one letter there we wanted to answer before Christmas. You know, we wanted to attend to that certainly before
Yes,
Christmas,
John, here it is.
Let's get to it, shall we?
Yes, it's from Trenton, New Jersey.
Where?
And it says Trenton.
Trenton, yes.
And it says, Merry Christmas, fellow hounds of the doghouse. Well, greetings and all. My wife wants a fur coat for Christmas, but I can't afford to get her one. Can you suggest something cheaper that would take the place of a fur coat and still satisfy her? Signed, I.R. Broke.
What's that? What's that signature?
I.R. Broke.
No, you mean I am broke. I.R. broke is poor English.
Well, who said anything about him being English? We have some Americans that are broke, too, haven't we?
All right. Then I.R. broke. But I still say it's poor English.
Well, maybe he is English, and not being able to buy his wife a fur coat for Christmas, he would be right in signing the letter, I.R. Broke, because you yourself said that would be poor English, and that's probably what he is.
Oh, now, let's call him Smith.
That's a good name.
I had an uncle by that name, John.
Yeah?
He was a colorsmith of some kind.
What do you mean you had an uncle that was a color smith?
Yeah, he made a living hoofing, you know.
Well, just because he was a professional dancer, that's no reason for his being any different than all the other smiths, is it?
But I didn't say a dancer. I said he hoofed.
Yeah, I know.
You know, under the spreading chestnut tree, the village hoofer hoofed.
Oh, you mean he was a blacksmith? Oh, but who cares anyway? Let's get back to this letter. No more interruptions, please. The man can't buy his wife a fur coat, and she wants one for Christmas. Well, my friend, you're certainly up against it. But as I've said before, we never let a fellow member of the HPA down. No, sir. Your wife wants a fur coat, and we'll see to it that you have one for her by Christmas. It may be a little small for her, perhaps, but, oh, well, we're going to send you by parcel post, collect, and it won't cost you much, Frazzini's discarded toupee. Of course, it hasn't any buttons on it, and it may not be exactly what she wanted, but in a pinch it'll do. It has 2 holes in the sides where Froz used to put his ears through. See, she can use these for sleeves. And although it isn't exactly a skunk fur, it was worn by one for over a year, so that's that. You know, boys, makes me feel good to know that at least one person's Christmas will be happy because of a bald-headed accordion player. And incidentally, that bald-headed accordion player is just going to play for us. How about it, Froz, will you? After all that slamming, do you mind?
Yes.
Froz is just the most good-natured fellow in the world. Pietro Pasquale, Hot Tamale, Cucaracha, Frazzini plays Flapperette.
Flopperette.
Flapperette, yes.
That's a flopper that's been long on a diet.
Yeah, okay. Bravo, Frost. Very good indeed. Thank you so much. Frost, you know, you put me right into a poetic mood there. I have the poetic urge this morning. Feel just like spouting poetry by the hour. And I have something here that I think will just hit the spot. It's a little poem written by one of our executive members of the Husbands Protective Association and dedicated to the husbands of America. So, husbands, listen carefully, please. It's called "'Twas the Fright Before Christmas." Santa Claus is coming soon. My wife is asking for the moon. Of course, it's just what I expect. I always get it in the neck. The missus has a list so long of stuff she's buying for a song. But what she calls a song, you see, is just another bill for me. Shirts and slippers, socks and ties, but not a thing that is my size. I know she buys me stuff like that, so she can swap 'em for a hat. But never mind, cheer up, because there really is a Santa Claus. He brings us toys and gifts and games. The bills we get are from the dames. Thank you. Wasn't that a touching sentiment there, boys? Now wipe your tears away, Frost. It's all right. How about a little more music now, boys? Here's Lady of Spain. $7.55. Now, boys, how about finishing up with a little Spanish dance? The Spanish dance number 1 of Rayfeld. During the holiday season, you don't want to be without plenty of savory ready spread. Its delicately spiced goodness brings out brand new flavor and appetite appeal to many old standbys, whether meat dishes, omelets, salads, sauces, gravies, or dressings. At any time of the day or evening, this luxury-type liver pate suggests delightful combinations that make for good eating. At breakfast time, try serving poached eggs on toast, generously spread with ready spread. Ready spread sandwiches at lunchtime are quite as tempting as your ready spread canapes at cocktail time. On the other hand, the somnambulists of the family, you know what I mean, the midnight refrigerator raiders, why they find ready spread on bread or crackers makes a satisfying nightcap. Keep a can or two chilling in your refrigerator at all times. It's mighty economical. A full 3.5 ounces costs only 15 cents at leading groceries and delicatessens everywhere. So why not order several cans when you shop this morning? Ask for it by name, Ready Spread, spelled R-E-D-I-S-P-R-E-D, Ready Spread. There's only one, so you are bound to receive the genuine. And now we conclude this period of Sense and Nonsense, which is brought to you every weekday morning by the makers of delicious broadcast brand meat foods. Thanks a lot for listening. Hope you enjoyed the show. Don't forget the chart is free for the asking, the exercise chart with a picture of the gang on the front. The card dropped to me will bring it to you within a few days. This is John B. Gambling speaking, wishing every one of you a very pleasant day. This is the Mutual Broadcasting System. One of America's great stations, WOR, the Bamberger Broadcasting Service in Newark, New Jersey.
Good morning, everyone. It's 9 o'clock and time for the top of the news at 9. John Wingate reporting from the WOR newsroom. The heat-groggy nation is breathing easier today with normal seasonal weather prevailing over most of the country after the record blistering spell. The Chicago Weather Bureau reveals today that there's no prospect of an immediate return of the Midwestern heat wave, and we all can thank heavens for that. The Bureau says that recent showers have eased the critical threat to the 1947 corn crop, but reports indicate that most of the Midwestern corn belt still needs a drenching. In many places, farmers have given up as corn planted in thin soil already has been damaged beyond any hope of recovery. New York commuters were happy to find most subways running normally this morning after yesterday's heavy thunderstorm. Only one subway line was listed as still tied up early this morning. That's the Brooklyn-Queens Crosstown, or GG line, of the independent system. Even there, service was restored on either side of a 4-station flood area centering close to Metropolitan Avenue. During the night, emergency crews bailed out flooded tracks at numerous points, which halted or snarled service on the independent, BMT, and IRT systems. At the same time, all available telephone repairmen were at work restoring service on some 2,000 Manhattan and Brooklyn phone lines, which shorted out during the storm. An emergency crew has finally taken the shuttered cornice of the Hotel Lexington, one of the many buildings struck by lightning at the height of the storm. New efforts will be made today to avert a possible strike against 20 bus lines which carry 1,200,000 passengers daily in Manhattan. Following yesterday's stalemate in negotiations, City Labor Relations Director Theodore Keel has scheduled another conference for 2:30 this afternoon. The strike has been set for September 8th by drivers of the CIO Transport Workers Union. Several hundred South Shore commuters were more than a half hour late to work this morning and had to make apologies to their bosses when a westbound Long Island Railroad train developed engine trouble. The packed commuter train was held up in the tunnel under the East River for more than a quarter of an hour after a delayed departure for Pennsylvania Station from Jamaica. 6 additional trains, which normally would have followed the crippled train into New York, were terminated at Jamaica and their passengers forced to wait for other trains. The spokesman for the Long Island says, however, that these passengers were delayed only slightly. The crippled train left Suffolk County at 5:41 a.m. and was due in Pennsylvania Station at 8:02, but finally got here at 8:34 a.m. this morning. Well, American Legionnaires are pouring into New York by the thousands for the convention that opens tomorrow. Meanwhile, Legion officials are shaping up the program that will be presented to the delegates when formal business begins. State delegations are arranging caucuses to decide which way to vote for national commander and other officers. Standing committees are working on resolutions that will go before the convention, which continues through Sunday. But early arrivals who are not concerned with the weighty matters of the convention have been giving New York a sample of what to expect when things really get rolling. One group, if you will, squirted water pistols at girl passers-by. Another group had canes that gave an electric shock to many. Today, a Denver group will visit City Hall to present a bison calf, that's a small buffalo, if you will, to Mayor William O'Dwyer. Collection of a 10-cent toll will begin at 1 minute past midnight tonight on the Sawmill River Parkway. And 9½ hours later, the Automobile Club of New York will challenge the right of Westchester County to collect that toll. Under sponsorship of the club, 4 New Jersey motorists will appear at the toll gates at 9:30 just north of the New York City line. 2 will refuse to pay the charge, and the other 2 will pay and ask for receipts. Officials of the Automobile Club of New York explained that in order to bring suit in the federal courts in this case, it's necessary to have 2 out-of-state residents appear as plaintiffs. The Automobile Club is testing the validity of a state law which permits the collection of highway tolls over such a bridge. Down in Wilmington, Delaware, the reopening of all schools was postponed today as the number of infantile paralysis cases rose to 84. 3 converted Army training planes are to spray the city with DDT today in an experiment to determine whether houseflies are polio carriers. Back to the news in just a moment. Gabardine really goes glamorous at Bond's in new cutaway suits, ladies, because it's Bond's own Royal Crown Gabardine. Precious virgin wool fabric like this deserves only the carefulest of tailoring, the smartest designs. And you can bet the expert needle craftsmen in Bond's famous Rochester workrooms give this Royal Crown Gabardine all it deserves and more, too. Yes, they've even cut this stunning cutaway to 3 distinct proportions, so every smooth and flattering line falls perfectly into place on your figure, whether you're tall, medium, or short. You never saw such fit. From the high, wide lapels of the longer, wee-waisted jacket to the slimmer, longer skirt, Bond's fabulous suit gives you the smooth silhouette that often costs a fortune and sometimes you can't get. But here's the best news of all. At Bond's, this perfect-fitting gabardine cutaway costs only $34.95, sizes 10 to 20. So go glamorous in gabardine this fall, ladies, but don't pay glamour prices. Get your Royal Crown gabardine cutaway at Bond's. There are 12 large Bond stores conveniently located in the metropolitan area with shops for women. One is Bond's huge showplace at Broadway and 45th Street, which remains open every evening. Another is in Newark at 146 Market Street between Halsey and Broad Streets. This store is open every evening till 9 o'clock except Tuesdays and Thursdays. Well, the first damage suits filed against labor unions under the new Taft-Hartley labor law are on their way through the courts. The survey shows that 5 such suits are on file, involving claims of more than $1.25 million against the unions. 3 of the nation's powerful unions are involved, the AFL United Mine Workers, the Teamsters, and the CIO Steel Workers. The 2 biggest suits are one for $500,000 filed by the Independent Fur Manufacturers Association against the New York Fur and Leather Workers Union, and one for $475,000 filed by the W.J. Dillner Transfer Company of Pittsburgh against the Teamsters. The Taft-Hartley law is causing a stir in another direction this morning. All labor unions must file non-communist affidavits under the new law or forego the advantages granted to unions under the Wagner Act. The statements must be filed with the National Labor Relations Board. The big problem is how to check on the unions that claim to be non-communist. Over 500,000 statements are expected to be finally turned over to the board, and the NLRB says it will take the word of the unions. But if questions do arise, the board says the Justice Department will handle the situation and have final jurisdiction. Increased production costs cited by the car manufacturers in every case has prompted a round robin of increases in auto prices. Now that all the major manufacturers have upped their price tags, however, industry leaders say they are ready to hold the price line finally. There's a possibility that expensive retooling for new designs may mean that 1948 automobiles will be even more expensive than present models. Well, American industry has a home market that's still untapped, so says Wyoming Democratic Senator Joseph O'Mahony. And O'Mahony is urging business leaders to expand production for that market rather than boost prices. With the suggestion came a rap at some leaders of the steel industry. Looking at boosted prices, O'Mahony told newsmen that in his view, some industrialists apparently agree with Russian Premier Joseph Stalin that capitalism is heading for a breakdown. The government has issued a warning to veterans and merchants this morning. GI terminal leave bonds cannot be used directly to pay for cars, furniture, or any other kind of merchandise. Many stores have advertised to take the bonds as down payment on various goods. Today, the Treasury Department put them straight. The securities are not negotiable and are not subject to the claims of creditors. Starting next Tuesday, veterans may cash in the terminal leave bonds, and after they get the cash, they can do whatever they like with the money. Although State Department officials in Washington have said that we will not participate in the current Greek political crisis, it's evident that we're having something to say anyhow. Dispatches from Athens say that both United States Ambassador to Greece, Lincoln McVeigh, and the chief of the American Aid Mission in Greece, Dwight Griswold, have impressed on Premier-designate Konstantin Selderis that a government no broader than the one which fell last week will be suitable from an American standpoint. And reports persist that the United States is concerned at the delay in solving the crisis and has urged swift organization of a new cabinet. Soldaris has had 3 conferences with McVeigh. He came out of the last of these sessions this morning to announce that he has given up hope of forming a coalition cabinet and that he will proceed with the formation of a cabinet limited to his own populist or royalist party. However, the populists hold only about 40% of the parliamentary vote, so Soldaris will have to swing more than 10% of the remainder his way when the Parliament meets tomorrow to vote on his new cabinet. The main stumbling block to formation of a coalition cabinet is former Premier Sophoulis, leader of the Liberal group, who believes he should have the premiership and not Soldaris. Sophoulis reportedly believes that if he holds out and the Greek Parliament refuses to confirm Soldaris' new cabinet, he, Sophoulis, will get the premiership anyhow. Another historical trial got underway in Germany today in the same Nuremberg courtroom where Hermann Goering and other Nazi government leaders were convicted on charges of war criminality. 24 officials of the huge IG Farben industry are being tried on charges of planning, preparation, initiation, and waging of wars of aggression, invasions of other countries, robbery and spoliation, slavery and mass murder, membership in the criminal SS police organization, and conspiracy to commit crimes against peace. In an opening address before the American tribunal hearing the trial, Prosecutor General Telford Taylor branded these 24 as magicians who made the fantasies of Mein Kampf come true. These are the men who made the war possible, Taylor said, adding they did it because they wanted to conquer. They were the master builders of the Wehrmacht. They knew every detail of the intricate and enormous engine of warfare, and they watched its growth with the pride of architects. General Taylor also charges that the 24 IG Farben officials slowed down research abroad, especially in the United States. In fact, the indictment says that through its cartel arrangements, Farben retarded United States production of synthetic rubber, magnesium, atropine, and sulfur drugs, as well as other items. The trial is the first major test of war criminality in the field of industry. Late word from London this morning says a communique may be issued late today giving the broad results of British, French-American talks on increasing German industrial production. An official spokesman is quoted as saying that most of the difficulties facing the conferees have been ironed out at yesterday's session and that today's meeting probably will be the last. Reports from number 10 Downing Street today say a master plan to save Britain from bankruptcy will be announced within 48 hours. Finishing touches are now being put on the super austerity plan by Lord Council President Herbert Morrison, who is acting as Prime Minister during Clement Attlee's absence. This morning, Morrison is continuing his round of talks with cabinet ministers and experts on the program which will bring greater than wartime austerity and restrictions. Exactly how far the program will go is, of course, not known yet, but speculation over the matter causes industrial stocks to drop today on London's stock market. Here at home, Harold E. Stassen has expressed belief that England will turn from socialization back to regulated capitalism within the next 10 years if the United States gives financial aid. Stassen, who's a candidate for the 1948 GOP presidential nomination, says England is not doing very well at making socialization of coal and transportation work, and he says a reform of capitalism in the coal industry would have been a better solution to England's fuel problem than socialization. A former Republican president, meanwhile, describes the world food situation as not very good. Herbert Hoover says we have a surplus of food in the United States as usual, but not as great a one as we had last year, and the world need is probably greater this year than it was last. According to the United Press, we are planning to take a direct hand in the final stages of the 16-nation Paris Conference on the Marshall Plan. UP says the aim is to see that European countries don't come up with a proposition that will cost a lot more than Congress is likely to approve. Government sources in Washington are quoted as saying that a point has been reached where an adequate link must be established between Washington and Paris if the Marshall Plan is to succeed. At Lake's success, it appears that Anglo-American harmony in the UN Atomic Energy Commission is threatened. United Press quotes official sources as saying that Britain will refuse, temporarily at least, to back the United States on 2 important issues in the negotiations for world atomic control. These sources say Britain will balk at our insistence that all dangerous atomic research be performed by the projected World Atom Control Authority, and at our proposal also to give the agency power to cut national ties and assume ownership over some atomic energy facilities and materials. This man's style agrees not with the leanness of his purse. Well, that's Shakespeare's line, not Bond's. But today I think Shakespeare would be the first to concede that point to the master tailors of Rochester. For in Bond's exclusive lineup of fall suits, there's a wealth of style, priced to agree with any purse. And just take a look. Rackfuls of rich fabrics, smooth patterns, and smart new styles. Bond's double-breasted Brewster, for instance, with its broad shoulders, slim waist, and new long lapel, makes even portly ulsters look like jaunty halfbacks. Or Bond's Paxton, single-breasted with a new low buttoning that puts pep in the step of men of any age. And scores of others in handsome worsteds and flannels, all Bond priced from only $34.75 to $47.75. Here's an opportunity to obtain really distinctive style at equally unique savings, so why not go ahead and choose your fall suit at Bond's tomorrow? There are 12 large bond stores in the metropolitan area. One of them is in the Bronx at 324 East Fordham Road at the corner of Elm Place. This store remains open every evening till 9 o'clock. In addition, there's a bond store in New Haven at 57 Church Street between Crown and Center Streets. In Brazil, delegates to the Inter-American Conference are nearing the end of their work today, amity assured by an Argentine decision to string along with the majority who won a strong hemispheric defense treaty. The three main conference committees are expected to wind up their work by nightfall, leaving only the formality of the approval of their job by the full conference to come. Police in Palestine have begun extensive security checks on the Arabs. This is the first time in nearly 10 years that such action has been taken concerning the Arabs in Palestine. Yeah. The checks are a sequel to recent Jewish-Arab clashes in two bombings of Arab shops accused by other Arabs of breaking the boycott against Jewish goods. Police details have been stopping all Arab cars and searching all pedestrians for arms today, but there's been no word of any arrests. Official sources say that 6 Jews were injured in Tel Aviv last night. All of them were believed to be members of the underground Jewish militia organization, Haganah. The 6 are said to have been injured when they tried to prevent members of the Stern Gang, a more militant underground organization, from putting up posters. The poster party is said to have been driven off, but a short time later, a group of about 30 young Jews armed with clubs swept through the main streets of the Tel Aviv suburb. They clubbed all Jews who resisted. The gang entered one house, battered the furniture, and clubbed the 2 occupants, but George Hogan escaped. And that's the top of the news at 9. John Wingate reporting. Be back with you tomorrow morning, same time. Mighty nice being with you.